Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Napalm and he is in the Shimakaze, a tier 10 Japanese destroyer. He is on the map Tears of Desert in an epicenter game. Now it's obviously a tier 10 battle, but not too many tier 10s around, quite a few destroyers and no carrier. Now while Napalm is the only tier 10 destroyer in his team, the other destroyers are much better suited to an actual gunfight, which means it doesn't really need to be in the center as long as there are other friendly ships there. We have the Fletchers here going for the center, which is great, and as a Shimakaze he can try to outflank the enemies and get some nice torpedo hits. Now we can see an enemy smoke cloud and immediately he launches a wall of torpedoes into that smoke. With 3 torpedo launches and 15 torpedoes, you can create quite a nice wall, and those ships in the smoke will have a rude awakening unless they have hydro running, and they might not be expecting torpedoes from the side. Now this map and game mode combination is one of the worst things that can usually happen to you. It's a little less bad in a destroyer, but the problem is that there is absolutely no cover in the center. That means the only way of surviving in the center is being in concealment. Otherwise you just can get shot from every ship on the map, basically, with no way to hide or run away. And there we go, he found his mark in the center and, well, he actually just sank 2 cruisers, 2 devastating strikes, a double strike. That's a very nice way to begin the game, and that's a nice lead for the friendlies. Also the friendlies just took this center. Now, as I was saying, only destroyers really want to go play in the center, and even in a destroyer you gotta be aware that there might be radar, and if there is a carrier can just put planes above you and spot you unless you can hide in smoke. So even for destroyers the center is somewhat risky. Again, it's just this lack of cover. There is nowhere to hide behind. If somebody is shooting you, there is no way to break vision other than drop into concealment. So oftentimes this map ends in a very boring sniping battle. Also, if you look at the flanks, there isn't much cover at the flanks itself. So if you want to do a flanking push, then you open yourself up to all kinds of fire, unless you go really towards the outskirts where you are basically useless. So all in all, this map game mode combination is just bad game design for the most part. But thankfully, the enemy team is pushing heavily in the north outside of the cap, which is completely irrelevant. The friendlies are using this opportunity to go here around in the south, inside the cap. So the friendlies are controlling this zone. Now also, there is a Fletcher who is preventing the friendly team from accumulating points, because he can contest it by just sticking his nose inside the center. But still, your friendly team is in a very good position. They have ships here somewhat close so that they can hopefully support their destroyers in the center, although the friendly team lost 2 destroyers as well. That's not so good, but they still have 2 left and they still have the Fletcher in the center. And with the Fletcher having some backup, Fletcher might not be in such a bad spot. Meanwhile, Napalm is continuing his flanking push here, and he is trying to get some torpedoes into the Alabama. Now there is a New Orleans around, so some radar, he has to be careful about that. Once they see these torpedoes coming, it's entirely possible, and there is radar. I guess the New Orleans realized that there was a destroyer sneaking around and tried to get rid of him. Now, of course, New Orleans doesn't have an awful lot of support. Napalm is, I guess, sufficiently far away to not get completely demolished here, so while it was a nice use of radar, I suppose, it ultimately isn't paying off that much. Also, the New Orleans is getting shelled quite heavily. Unfortunately for the enemy team, they have a lot of battleships here in the upper right corner where they aren't helping anyone. If those battleships were around here and would stop the friendly push, then it would look a lot better for the enemies. Now ship-wise, this is still equal. Points-wise, it's also almost equal because the enemy destroyers are doing a great job of contesting the center. Friendly destroyer is a great job of holding the center, and generally I like how the friendly team is positioned for the most part here. Also, there is a hood, so there is a fail platoon that I haven't noticed before, I suppose. But anyway, if the enemy team ever wisens up and they try to, well, go into the actual cap zone, then this might get exciting. Now Bison Napalm is running out of enemies to torpedo because the enemy is here in the center. But of course, if the enemy team decides to push in, then as a Shimakaze, he's in a great way to defend against those battleships by just launching walls of torpedoes against them. And there is a Yugumo. Now unfortunately for the Yugumo, he has found himself a tier 10 destroyer, and while the Shimakaze isn't a good gunboat, neither is the Yugumo. The Yugumo is also under fire from other allied ships. There are some torpedoes launched just in case, I suppose. And, well, this Yugumo won't be able to escape unless he has smoke ready. There is nothing he can do. And Yugumo goes down. Now Bison Napalm used his own smoke because he was getting hit quite a bit, and I guess he's afraid of this New Orleans there. Some torps coming this way, but nowhere near him. And I don't think there was that much enemy fire that the smoke was necessary, but better safe than sorry. Now ship-wise, this is still rather even. So the enemy teams aren't out of this. It's just that the friendly team is a bit better positioned. And, well, the friendlies are actually fighting for the objectives while the enemy team is on a merry, I don't know, pleasure cruise. Now if the friendlies would manage to sink this New Orleans and get rid of the enemy radar, that would also be very helpful, I suppose. But the New Orleans has found some cover behind islands. Then again, a friendly team is pushing in here rather heavily, so we will hopefully be able to get rid of New Orleans quite soon. And friendly Fletcher still in the center, still at a very good place. And, well, one friendly Bismarck, I guess, is a little bit too much out in the open. If the enemy team finally comes in here, then this Bismarck is in big trouble. Now, of course, the top tier, the tier 10 enemy battleships are as far away from the battle as they could possibly be. Probably careful not to take any shots, because that might win them the game, and who likes winning anyway, I guess. Now enemy destroyers are spotted and, well, managed to hide into smoke, but the sneaky Shimakaze is here to just torpedo that smoke and hopefully sink something in the process. The enemy tier pits here is trying to make something work, and the enemy destroyers are doing a good job because they are the only reason that the enemy team hasn't been completely demolished by now. Point-wise, the enemy destroyers are trying their best to contest this. The tier pits was trying to meet the friendly push, but without his tier 10 battleships there isn't an awful lot he can do about it. So unfortunately the enemy got taken out. Well, fortunately for the friendlies. This is still a pretty close match, and I guess it's still anyone's game. Now the torpedoes are nearing the smoke. You can see with the wide spread they are all over the place and not in a tight wall, but I guess since he's going fishing inside a smoke screen where the ship's probably not moving, that still work out quite nicely. And there you go. One destroyer down, next destroyer down, there is the truck, and there is the second double strike, and there is a huge lead for the friendly team now. Enemy team has only one destroyer left, which is a Khabarovsk, so more of a cruiser than a destroyer, and he is way too far away to do anything right now. Now the Enemy battleships are finally moving in, I suppose, well, except the Yamato, but they are about 5 minutes too late, or maybe even 10 minutes too late. Now keep in mind that there is still a chance that they are turning this around, I suppose, but right now it's looking pretty desperate for the enemies. Then again, their battleships are full health because they've refused to tank for their friendly team, so I still have some chance on this, I suppose. Now if the enemy team gets some very nice hits, or if the friendly team shows too much broadside, anything can happen. There's a friendly Bismarck that's going down momentarily, I'm afraid. But overall, still looking rather okay. Now the friendly team only has one battleship left. So it will obviously depend how good are the enemies at dodging torps and how good are the friendly cruisers at avoiding to get deleted. Poison Aetam is launching his salvo through this channel. The Montana is, I mean, I'm not sure what he is doing. He's sitting here completely broadside on. That's not what you wanna do. But if he is just sitting there or slowly moving backward, those torps might just hit. Then again, I think the Montana manages behind an island into cover, so those torps might just fail. Now, Poison Napalm is providing a smokescreen here for his friendlies. The Montana can now make use of that smokescreen, and even the cruisers here behind can just go in. There is also some friendly radar. I'm not sure if the radar is ready, but they could use it to spot out of the smoke if they lose vision. Then again, Poison Napalm has no intention of hiding inside his own smoke. He's just providing this for his team, and he will spotting himself. Now keep in mind this is a bit of an older replay, so this is before smoke changes. Which means those friendly ships, even the friendly battleship here, they are perfectly safe inside the smoke. Unfortunately, ship-wise, it's a lot more equal right now. Friendlies have lost 2 ships. But the enemy team has nobody who is contesting the center cap anymore, with the enemies losing their destroyers in the center. The friendlies are now finally profiting from their capture. And now let's see if Poison Napalm can get a few more nice torpedoes into some battleships. Enemy Montana is rather low. He is currently in cover behind this island, probably waiting for his repair to come up. But, well, there are only 5 minutes left, and unfortunately, a friendly ship just went down. Now, again, friendlies have the advantage points-wise. All they have to do is stay alive for, I guess, 5 more minutes. Then again, 5 minutes is a long time. And another friendly ship goes down, so the enemy battleships are demolishing the friendly cruisers. Then again, one friendly battleship went down as well. And let's just see. Now, Poison Napalm is a little bit too close here. The Montana is looking this way. He's using his speed boost in order to get out of here, and well, he managed to get the killing blow on the Montana. Took a big salvo in the process, so this almost went wrong, but worked out quite nicely. Now he has to dodge the Yamato shells. He's in cover again, but he managed to dodge those, so all is fine right now. Now 2 enemies and 3 friendlies remaining. Again, the friendly team has the advantage, not only ship-wise, but mostly because of the points. Yamato is still quite healthy. I'm not sure how healthy the Khabarovsk is. Let's take a look at our friendlies here. Montana also still somewhat healthy, as is the Donskoy, so Donskoy might still have some radar left against the Khabarovsk. Then again, the Khabarovsk isn't the most sneaky ship in the first place, and will probably not be hidden, because well, the Khabarovsk is more dangerous because of the guns, not the torps. And if the Khabarovsk shoots, then the friendlies will be able to see her anyway. unless there is smoke. So, ball is in the enemy court, the enemy has to push in here and do something, otherwise, well, they'll just lose points-wise. 3 minutes left. And he was briefly spotted here by a plane. But the plane was probably shot down by the friendlies moving in here. Friendly team is sticking together, which is wise, so they can help out each other, and they are sticking close to the objective here in the center, so they can prevent enemies from capturing it. Khabarovsk was only visible for a short while, probably too much heat here. He needs the Yamato to tank for him. The Yamato should really... Well, the Yamato has to push in here, otherwise they will lose anyway. Yamato has to take the risk and has to finally take some damage and tank for his remaining Khabarovsk, but looks like he doesn't want to. Now with the radar position finding, our Shimakaze here knows where the Yamato is. I mean, not only do we know the last spotted position, but we know that he's currently somewhere up here, and not sure exactly where he is going. He really needs to get into the center, he needs to contest this point, and he needs to tank for the Khabarovsk in order for the Khabarovsk to do a little bit more damage. Now torpedoes are coming the Yamato's way. Let's see what the Yamato is doing. Currently he's also showing too much broadside. Still, I mean, the enemies, I guess they have a potential to win. Napalm is on very low health. If he gets spotted, even briefly, one salvo could take him out. And the Yamato's guns are certainly very powerful. But the friendlies are careful, they are using cover, they aren't overly exposing themselves, and with only 1 minute 25 seconds left. Yeah, okay. And with those torpedoes sealing the deal. And now the enemy team is utterly screwed. There is no way the Khabarovsk can turn this around in 1 minute. But with nobody tanking for him, I guess the Khabarovsk can now just go in guns blazing. Because all he can do is do as much damage as he can in the remaining time. He can't win. It's anyway. And with the Khabarovsk spotted and the friendlies shooting it, I might just even sink him before the time's up. Well, 30 seconds left and they managed to sink the enemy. Now let's take a look at the results. Poison Napalm managed to get 2550 base experience and he did an awesome job. He got a lot of damage in from the flanks, he managed to hit his torpedoes, and he did what the Shimakaze does best. Meanwhile, I also have to say that his team played this rather well for the most part. The Fletchers secured the center and held the center. They made sure that the enemy team didn't get to capture it, and the friendlies generally stuck close to the objective. They stuck together in the end. And I guess friendly teamwork overall just prevailed. Now the enemy had some destroyers who tried to hold on for a long time, but their battleships just were too passive, and that cost the enemy the victory. Now Poison Napalm earned himself 2 devastating strikes, 2 double strikes, a Kraken, a First Blood, and yeah, he sunk 7 enemies, did 162,000 points of damage, and I found this was a pretty nice game. Was somewhat close in the end, at least ship-wise. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I'll see you guys next time.